Hey, this is Tyler with TJack Survival. I'm going to show you how to make a quick field expedient bow drill, so stay tuned. Alright, well Matt here is digging a hole. He's making a place for the fire. I'm going to make a bow drill. Now, I have a bow already that I'm going to use. It's one that I made out of willow and I fire hardened, so it gets a good springiness to it. And it's already done. Now, a quick note on bow drills. I make them a lot because I make a lot of videos of them, but I carry them out with me too, because back in the day, you know, indigenous people weren't going to a new location and making a new bow every single time they wanted to make a fire. They got a really good set they liked. They made new spindles and hearthboards for it, and they just kept using them. I got this bow I like, so I'm going to make a spindle and hearthboard for it right now. So what I've got here is Liam Hoffman, make sure I'm saying his name right, gave me this pull hatchet to use to demo, and right out of the box I was super impressed with it. A little bit about him. He's from back east and he makes these from scratch. Gets the metal, hand forges them, makes the handles all from scratch. He tooled this mask for me. It's really hard to show on online, but this is razor sharp. I don't know if I can get anything to cut. All I really have around me is pine needles. So right out of the box, it's going to shave like this. See how it's just taking those right off with minimal force? This thing is stupid sharp. Okay. So earlier I collected some sagebrush because sagebrush makes great bow drills. Basically you find yourself a long skinny section, short fat section, you got a spindle, you got a hearthboard. Now, set my bow off to the side so I don't hurt it. And you always want a good chopping place so that when you have a razor sharp hatchet like this, you don't drop it into the rocks and mess it up. That makes me cry just a little bit. So the first thing that I'm going to do is shape up my spindle. Now the thing about a hatchet like this, I can choke up really high. It fits my hand properly there, which gives me a lot of control. Like if I wanted to make feather sticks with it, in fact I'll do that really quick. I could feather stick this whole thing with no problem. Then as I drop down a little bit lower, that gives me a little more force, a little more of an ability to shave. And all you do is just change the angle until it grabs, and you'll be able to skin the bow drill down here. Now, all I'm really doing, if you can imagine a banana, I'm cutting a banana that's curved like this. I'm cutting this part of the banana, and I'm cutting that part of the banana until it's straight. So if I look on top right here, I can see where it needs to be removed, and I just take that away. And I'm going to take the bark off the back side. I found when you're making spindles, you have a tendency to get a fat side and a skinny side. The skinny side's going to be the top, the fat side's going to be the bottom. Whatever the wood gives you, just go with it. And I can also see I got to trim this down a little bit more, get it straight. The key with the spindle is make it as straight as possible. If it's not straight, it's not going to rotate properly on your hearthboard. You're going to get that la 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 when you're running it. So I've got it mostly straight. I can't really tell if one says, yeah, it's a little bit thinner on top. So what I'm going to do is make the top my pencil thin part. You can use a knife and a hatchet for this. I'm using a hatchet because it's just easy and it's so sharp. But when you're doing really small, fine work, you just transition to your knife. And this is the Fallkniven S1 Pro series knife. A while ago, I got a comment on my channel asking me to demo the Pro series. So we brought those out here this weekend. And if you're interested in one of these, there's a link down in the comment section. So with this, I like to put my thumb on it, put my chin on it, put it right down here. And that gives me the ability to see where it needs to be smoothed out. And I just kind of rotate it and get the angle right, and it cleans it right up. Then when I go to finish it, I'm going to do a reverse grip. And the reason why I do this is this isn't very safe. So it's less dangerous to put it against your chest and just pull. And then when I whittle this down to a fine point, I'll be ready. I want a fine point on the top because I want it to have less friction. So I flip it over to the fat side. Okay, once these are sharp, now I can work on my hearth board. And save all of this curly stuff, because you're going to use that later when you make your bow drill fire. Now, with this hearth board, again, I'm going to use the hatchet. It's a little bit crooked, so where it curves like this, I'm going to take that part off and this part off so that it's nice and flat. First, I have a little bit of bark, which I'm going to add to my future nest material. Then, cut that flat, turn it around, cut this flat. Now when you're cutting through larger chunks of wood, if you kind of go notch, 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 and then you go down, it'll take all those little chunks off. And it gives you the ability to remove stuff a little bit easier. Okay? So that's semi-flat. Straighten it out a little bit better here. You basically want to make a square out of a circle. Just plane it down. All right, I have basically a square. I need to thin it out just a little bit so it's not so thick. It needs to be out about the length of your thumb to your knuckle, plus or minus 1/4 of an inch. Now once I've got that, now I can do my bow drill. So the first thing I need to do is break it in with the burning in process. So with this burn in process, I'm basically just gonna seat the spindle into the hearth board. So now I'm gonna do my burn in on this little guy. A little bit crooked. Find out where I want it to go. And I'm gonna give it, put it right about there. This is a pretty fat spindle. I don't want to go too close to the edge. I really wish I had a bigger piece of baseboard, but you use what you have. So the key is when it drills, you don't want it to blow out of the sides. So give it about a thumb width of distance and you should be good. So I'll fat part to the bottom. I need a hand socket. I'm going to grab a random piece of wood, and all I'm going to do is get something that fits my hand, put a little hole right in the middle of it. This is kind of soft, I might need to make a new one. There's my top socket. Now with the spindle, fat part down, and then I'm going to go right hand and left hand together and then wrap it, because I want this spindle to rotate on the outside. I don't want it to rotate on the inside against the bow drill. Now I just heat this up until it burns a hole. I add my notch and my bow drill's done. There's my hole. It's a top socket. Burns a little bit. What you can do if you have like a slug is a really good thing to put in the top. If not, get some sort of leafy green tree of some sort and you can put that one in the top. Now all I need to do is carve a notch 1/8 of a pie, not quite to the center of this circle, and we're good for fire. So I'll carve my notch real quick. The way this notch is going to work, I'm basically just going to carve it like that. So I just press with my 2 thumbs and just carve it, and then I just rotate up close so that I won't cut my hand. Press with my thumbs, and if I really want to, I can switch directions and just keep widening the arch until you get to that 1/8 of a pie just short of center. Okay, that's what the notch should look like. It's about 1/8 of a pie and just short of the center. On the bottom of it, you carve at an angle here, angle right there, and at an angle right there, just a little bit. What that does is it gives you a little pocket so that you build up your char cloth. And if this is your char material. If this is too skinny, you can widen it up here, but don't make it too wide in the middle, because what you don't want is for your spindle to blow out this weak part of the hearth board. But if it's too skinny, you won't get your char buildup. So it's all about getting that right balance. All right, so I made my bow drill, and I need to start my fire. What I've done is we've got a reflective wall. Right now I'm just gonna get the fire started. I'll put the big logs on it in a minute. So the way I set this up is essentially an upside down fire. These 2 logs are dog legs. What they do is they rise the fire up off the ground so the oxygen can get underneath it. As heat rises, it sucks that oxygen up through the material that you're burning. This we found earlier, which is some pitch wood, and I'm gonna make some shavings of it. And I'm going to use these little shavings inside of my nest so that once I get the nesting material rolling, we're good. Now, nesting material is sometimes hard to find. If you're going to go high in altitude, you're not going to find a lot of junipers or cambium layer from cottonwoods and stuff. So one thing you need to do is bring it with you. So that's what we've done today. It's a big old ball there. Don't take too much more than you need. So here's basically a pre-created nest. I'm going to use some of this fat wood in it, because once I get the nest rolling, then the fat wood will burn a little longer and get some better chunks off of here really quickly. Always cut above wood, because if you miss and drop this in a rock, it jacks your blade up, just as a side note. Some super dense wood. There we go. So now that I got this good chunk of pitch wood, once my nest gets rolling, it'll burn it up really well. Okay? And right here's where I'm going to put my nest. It's already very well ground. And I'm going to set that off to the side so that I can transfer coal to fire very quickly. Now the last thing I need is a chip, so that I have a way to transfer my coal once I've made it onto my nest. Now I'm going to take the 10% of water out of this by warming it up slowly. This is a marathon, not a race. I'll spit in there, little green leaf, and this will keep the top from catching on fire before the bottom catches on fire. We'll warm it up nice and chill. Once I have a nice coal pile, then I'll speed it up and ignite that coal pile. I'm burning right through the top. So because I'm burning through the top, I'm going to make a new hand set, and then we'll do this again. All right, Matt gave me a nice little knee bone that he's been using for a while, so I don't have to make another hand socket. So I'm going to use this little puppy. Let's get it some fire. It's just not pushing. Okay, third time's the charm. Braden showed me this little trick. Stick a piece of wood back there, and it gives you a tension ability to adjust how tight your bow drill is. Now, normally I just redo the string, but I'm running out of light, and I want to get this done so we can actually film it. So we're gonna try this technique, see how good it works. Already I can tell it's gripping it much better. I'm exhausted. I've been a little bit sick this weekend. I'm just having a hard time controlling the spindle. That's what exhaustion does to you. I can either use flint and steel and start a fire, or I can let Braden take a crack at it. So we're gonna let Braden try it real quick. Hopefully he'll come up with some fire. I warmed a hearth board up for you, buddy. And then if not, I have a flint and steel backup, because you should never just rely on something like friction fire for your only source of fire. Smells right.
No, so I'm just too tired from today.
Yeah.
If anybody, I don't know how tired you are, but
no.
I can keep it in position.
I think it's flint and steel time. Okay, plan B. We will save these hearth boards for tomorrow, and tomorrow we will do a bow drill fire for you. But tonight, we're gonna do flint and steel. So Matt got the ember to take with a spark. He's the pro. I couldn't get it to grab. Every time I got it started, it wouldn't stay. And that's why you bring your buddies. Get you more sticks.
Yeah, get some pine needles and stuff too.
Some more pitch wood here.
All right. Smoky one. Ah, excellent.
Catch my hat on fire. Make me cry. And that is how you don't start a fire with the bow drill. All right, guys. Tomorrow we will do the bow drill. Tonight we cook food. Stay tuned. Making yourself a Burtonsville rig?
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed.
All right, guys. Thanks to Matt for building stuff with me.
Right on, man. It was fun.
And if this has been valuable to you, hit the subscribe button. You got any questions? Leave them down in the comments. And thank you for watching TJack Survival.